Hey, what's up, everybody? This is It Was All a Dream with the Odd Squad,
My name is Dana George, a legacy planner.
and I'm Matthew Avia Donahue, the Salty Lit Coach, aka your favorite coach's favorite coach,
Hey.
aka the podcast Poppy. And we're out here today to bring you episode 15,
Oh,
and I
wow.
can't believe we're up to exit. I know, I just heard you say, wow. I can't believe we've done 15 episodes
Right.
together. Something I love about doing this podcast with you, DJ, and I'll let everybody else know too, is it's not like work. You know what I'm saying? Like I
Right.
look forward to this. It's kind of like, we get together, we talk about life, we talk
Mhm.
about, things that have helped us out.
Correct.
And it's really kind of like, it turns into like a male bonding time instead of, you know, instead of like let's play on a podcast. And it's no, let's just get together and, chop it up.
Yeah, I definitely like that too, because to be able to go over, like even not like even during the podcast, we do speak before and after things that we go through and how we could help each other out, and it makes for a great like to be able to take something in and help someone else out, and to realize that you're actually growing from it. Like I think that's pretty dope.
Yeah, absolutely. And so we're gonna hop right into it, guys. Today, like I said, is episode 15, and we want to talk about something called BRULES. BRULES stand for BS rules or Bullsh rules, and kind of like and this is not something I made up. I learned it from this guy named Vishen Lakhiani, and I recommended his book to you. And for those of you that have not read it, I got it right here in front of me. The Code of the Extraordinary Mind is a phenomenal book. It's probably one of the most, challenging. Well, it caused me to challenge myself and push myself and grow myself more than probably any book I've read in the past year.
That's good.
And I've read 28 books this year. So,
Try to throw that in.
yeah, I had to flex, throw that humble flex, but this is definitely on the top of my list. So, according to Vishen, the definition of a BRULE is a BS rule that we adopt to simplify our understanding of the world. And a lot of it's kind of is like social conditioning, things, you pick up, from society, things we think we have to do, but when we break it down, we don't really have to do them. There's like absolute truths, and then there's kind of the truths that we adopt and make our own, and that's what BRULES is referring to.
Would it be like you have to go to college?
That's a perfect example. I grew up, and I'm a teacher. For those of you that don't know, and it was expected to go. You have to go to college. Go
Right.
to college, then it's expected, or we have to work a 9 to 5,
Right.
or a full-time job. Um, you know, they, what do you think about that, DJ?
About which part of it? Have to go to school?
Yeah,
I mean, I followed it. I didn't go away. I didn't go away to school, but I did go to school because of that was the, I guess, quote unquote, the next step. And it was one of those things where I felt like I just did it to do it without like really thinking about it. And I think that's what happens with like a lot of people is that you feel like I'm not supposed to think outside of the box sometimes. And like, well, on paper it says the next step is this. It's just like reading like IKEA directions on how to build something. And sometimes like, we're not an IKEA sofa or whatever the case may be. We're human beings that has the opportunity to think outside the box and to accomplish a lot that we want to do. But at the same time, depending on who you're around, where you live, what company you keep, you might steer away from being different. And you might just go in the direction of, let me follow these rules because that's what everyone else is doing around me.
yeah, that's absolutely that's one of the major factors. Is
Right.
everybody else is doing it, so I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
But then you ask yourself, well, where did that model come from? Who invented that model?
If you ask yourself that.
Well, that's what you need to, like, in order to break free from the rules,
Right.
you need to ask yourself, where did that expectation,
Right.
where did that model come from?
Right.
And, it was funny. I mean, this is kind of like an example of a rule. Well, it definitely is. And I know some people might find like an uncomfortable topic, but maybe like a year or two ago, Alicia Silverstone, from Clueless.
Yes.
And I only read the article because that was like my first love. I remember being like in 5th grade at the movies, and I saw like the cardboard cutout of Alicia Silverstone. I'm just looking at her. I'm like, yo, this is I was probably like 7 or 8. I'm like, this is the most beautiful woman I've ever seen in my life. Like, I was in love with Alicia Silverstone in elementary school. People like Kelly Kapowski, I had Cher from BRULES. You know what I'm saying? But she admitted, like, in an article where her son is like 11 or 12, and he still sleeps with her some nights, right? And a lot of people are like, oh, like that's terrible for his health, that's terrible for his development, that's irresponsible, and they kind of like, she got like a lot of flack for it, right?
Right.
And then doctor came on and said, and this is what the article, so I guess, I don't know when this article was published, but it was referencing that original article.
Okay.
And the doctor was like, that there's no real studies that prove, sleeping with your child is unhealthy. There's no proof that's saying like it's gonna screw them up, And then he's like, up until like 150 years ago, it was normal for parents to sleep with the kids. It was normal for them to all sleep in one room, unless you were rich. And then when people started buying bigger houses and they're able to afford more rooms, that's when the idea of people not sleeping, family members not sleeping in the same room came from. So 150 years ago, this was normal, but now it's not. Now she's like villainized. And some people might think that's creepy. But my point is people don't do it because other people think it's creepy, or because they're just kind of taught, this shouldn't happen. When but why though? If they did it, for 2,000 years up until, very recently or relatively recently,
right?
Like, why is it a problem now?
I don't know. I think that's kind of weird too.
Well, it's weird because
maybe
society
because of the rules.
Society taught you it's weird. And again, like, I'm not advocating go sleep with your kid. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying
I need
is,
my space, man. Go in your room.
And that's a reason. Like, I need personal space.
Yeah.
I need my time alone. Go sleep in your room.
Yeah.
Right. But just to say, oh well, it's just wrong, or it's just great. Well, no, it's not. It's your preference. And, and as long as you understand the difference, I think that's okay.
Nah. All right, I got you. So for me, it'd be like, yo.
Yeah, for you, it's not happening.
I just want to go to sleep.
Yeah, and that's fine because that's what you prefer.
Yeah.
But if you're doing it because of expectations or societal expectations, then it's a problem. So you made your own rule for your own reasons, and that's basically how to separate the BRULES from your standard of living.
I got you.
You know what I'm saying?
I never read that article. I don't know if I would want to.
I only read it because my thing for like the nostalgia. I was a little jealous of a 12-year-old son. No, I'm just kidding, guys. So.
My man.
So with the BRULES, there's like, there's different ways we absorb them, right?
All right.
And one way is kind of like childhood indoctrination, right? Like, we learn so much before we're 9 years old. Like, a lot of a worldview is formed
based on that. Yeah.
By 9 years old. And as parents, I used to say it, and I've made a very, very and it still slips out sometimes, but I make a very intentional effort to never, like, when I tell Mason you can't do this or don't do this, I never say to him, he asks me why, right? And I'll never say to him because I said so. I'm like, well, Mason, because you can get hurt, or because X, Y, and Z, and I lay it out for him and give him reasons why he shouldn't do it, instead of just saying, oh, because I said so. Because what that does, even though it seems innocent enough, that kind of sets like the standard, for the rest of his life, where he's not going to question authority. Where somebody's going to tell him to do something, they say, oh, okay, an authority figure told me to do it, so I'm going to do it. And I think that's something like that. My parents,
so you brought that up, and that's a pretty good point. So he goes to school, and then the teacher calls you up and says he's questioning everything.
I'd be proud of him. I know his mother might not be too happy, but I tell him all the time, like, Mace, if your teacher's doing something you disagree with, like, I'll give you an example. Mason, me and him had a conversation about Christopher Columbus prior to Christopher Columbus Day, and I let him know. I know, a lot of Italians, love Christopher Columbus. I hope we don't catch any flack, but he was really a bad guy. Like, I've read his journals. I read a lot of stuff he's done, and I told Mason, like, I know Columbus Day's coming up, but he's not somebody we celebrate, And maybe even that right there is me instilling a BRULE in him. So I just admitted to, brainwashing him against Christopher Columbus, but
until he read it.
But then I did put him on. I let him know about it, and then he went to school the next day, and the teacher did a lesson on Christopher Columbus, and she kind of painted him as a hero. And
he
Mason,
was like, nah.
yeah, so what happened is he came home and he's like, Daddy, the teacher was saying all the, and I really wanted to call her out. I really wanted to say something, but I didn't want to get in trouble. And I was like, Mason, like, if you ever get in trouble for standing up for something you believe in, or, thinking the teacher's wrong when she is actually, you're never going to be in trouble. I'll take you out to dinner. Like, if you would have told me, if the teacher would have said, Mason got up and, started telling me why Christopher Columbus, whatever, like, Mason, I would have took you to Hooters that night, bro. We would have gone out, man. We would have had a great night. I would be so proud of you for doing that. Like, don't ever be afraid to speak your mind. And I think that's another rule, like, where just because the teacher says it, kids have to follow along. And this is coming from a teacher. I love it when my students question it.
Interesting. That's pretty good, because then like another rule would be that I am an authority. You can't question me because I am authority.
Yeah, and there's a lot of teachers that operate by that. Well, I'm the teacher.
A lot of people, and not even more than just teachers.
Bosses, principals.
Yeah, that's pretty dope. Now, I never really thought about it like that, so I'm glad we're actually having this conversation. That what I learned from it is to do a better job, especially when it comes to parenting. I was just saying, not what has to be done, but give a reason why it is done, because that might actually make it easier for them too, because to understand. Because what if they are not questioning why just to be a little jerk, but like they really want to know why something happens.
Yeah, and what's funny is, like, I think, like, a lot of parents, and in the past I used to think it was a little like, why you asking why, bro? Like, I said so. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Guilty.
I was already conditioned to think just questioning me was disrespectful.
Right.
But then you put yourself in that shoe of a 6, 7, 8, 9-year-old kid, and they genuinely want to know why. Like, why is this a thing? So when you say just because I said so, because that's the way it is, that's just setting them up for a lifetime of accepting, like, that belief.
Interesting.
I don't want that for peace. I don't want that for myself. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm doing a lot of work to uproot those seeds. I don't want to plant those seeds into money maze.
Ooh. Hopefully you guys heard that one.
Yeah.
Spitting. I like it.
Yeah, I'm very passionate about that, man. I'm very passionate about pushing Mason to think differently and be differently.
Right.
And that kind of brings us to number 2, right? So we have childhood indoctrination. Number 2, people follow BRULES because they want to feel the need, because the need to be accepted and the need to belong, right? Like,
right.
People wear Jordan. I wear Jordan. You see my shoe collection, But for a while, I just did it. Like, I might not even like them that much, but I want to be cool. I want to fit in. I'm wearing my Jordans. Now I got Crocs on every day, but on special occasions,
because everyone's wearing Crocs, so you still did it.
But they're comfortable, man. I wear these shoes everywhere, to the beach, the store, to podcasting.
The number 2 one, like, I never really liked fitting in. I never really, I think I probably owned maybe 2 pair of Jordans, and I think the only reason why I got them because they were like really discounted, like really discounted. Like, I don't even know how I got them because they were so discounted. That's the only reason why I got it. And like the reason why I actually got into like sales and business is because most of the people I spoke to said they would never do it and I shouldn't do it. And that's really why I got into it. I didn't like going the normal path. So that was my BRULE. Just didn't want to be part of the part of the flow.
Like Jay-Z said, you came with a fork in the road and you went straight.
I like that one.
Right? Yeah, I think, well, for me, I think the need to belong was always really important, sadly. So I did a lot of things to fit in. I even adopted certain characteristics. I wanted to fit in. I wanted to belong. And that, so it's part of the process with Giovanna was figuring out who I really am. Because at a certain point, like, I didn't know anymore. I just became who I need to be to fit in and be loved and be accepted. And the funny thing about that really is, like, most of my friends would love me or accept me either way.
Yeah.
But I felt the need because of issues I had, that I had to pretend to be this, or I had to, act a certain way or do certain things that, I might not have been into. I did it to fit in.
And a point that probably I want to point out that probably no one really heard is that you said that you learned this because you spoke to Giovanna, and you spoke to Giovanna in 2022, which would put you at 38 years old.
Yeah.
39 years old. So what that means is that no matter where you are, your age or whatever, like, you always have an opportunity to learn, grow, and make adjustments. So I just wanted to bring that up. So if anything, like we do speak about and you think it fits the bill and you're like, well, I've been doing this for 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years, it doesn't matter. If you want to make adjustments or change, however you want to say it, like you could still do it.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think like if you go back, I know DJ is obviously the exception, you know, but as a teacher, I see it a lot where kids just do what other kids do. Like they play games other kids play. Like nobody really wants to stand out in class. You know, the kids, but then the kids who do stand out, they're they're kind of like the special ones. They're the ones I know, or they're going to do something different with their life because
Right.
they're not trying to be like everybody else. They're not afraid, you know, to speak out in class or you know, come across as being different. Right? And if you think about all the successful people and people who've changed the world and came up with amazing inventions, like none of them have ever followed the crowd. They've all been the ones thinking outside the box.
They were deemed weird.
Yeah. So we ready for number 3?
I'm ready.
All right. Social proof. Right? A lot of times, you know, we have rules, and you know we follow them because we could look at, you know, oh, well, I know my neighbor. You know, he went to college. He got a 9 to 5. Now he's got a house and a car.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna follow his foot. I'm gonna do what he did, or whatever the case may be. Like you just pull out other people from society that have followed those rules, and now you're gonna adopt them and just follow their path instead of carving out something for yourself.
I don't know if that's really that bad, that part. Because it depends on what you want to do at the same time. So, like, if I want to be a basketball player, you know, I don't want to follow what a football player or a golfer is doing. So I don't know if that one is too bad, but I think it is bad, like, if you don't have anything set and you're like, all right, so, like, the reason why I went to college is because I saw other people go to college, even though I didn't go away. I just went to college because other people were going to college.
Yeah.
I didn't go because I wanted to, and I wanted to learn and expand whatever the case may be. So social proof is dependent on, you know, what you're doing with it. If you just saw person A do it and like, oh, I might as well do it, then that's not right. But if you saw person B do it and that's, you know, they're in that direction that you want to go, then I would say,
Yeah.
then you do it.
So
that
it depends on your why.
Yeah, your goals and your why. Correct.
Yeah. All right. And lastly, we have internal insecurities, right? Like, and this is something where I've heard, and I don't know, I don't want to pick on females, you know what I'm saying? But the first thing that popped into mind is like I've heard women say like, well, I can't go to the store until, you know, I put on something decent, or my hair's done, or makeup's done, or they have to look a certain type of way, like just to go to the store. And I'm like, yo, you just want to.
I don't know. And they say they dress it for themselves, but well, it's another topic.
That's just one example, though,
Yeah.
right? There's other ways, you know, you I don't know, like maybe you overcompensate. You're insecure about something, so you kind of overcompensate and do too much.
Do you ever think you could not be insecure? So let's just say you were insecure, you beat it, you hit fear. Now this is, we'll say, unknown territory. Do you get like a new? Do you feel like you get a new insecurity? So is insecurity absolutely bad, or like how do you feel about that?
I think
Or is insecurity not the word that I'm?
no, I think you're right, and I think always, no matter what level you get to, you know, there's always gonna be some level of insecurity,
Whether I could do it or not, or
and it might come up in different areas of your life. Like there might be some areas of your life where you're super competent and confident, right? But there might be other, you know, where you might be really good at it, but you're still not. You don't. Man,
Right.
that talk kind of like we talked about last week with the imposter syndrome. Like you might not realize, you know, how good you are at it. You might not give yourself that credit. So there's a level of insecurity to it. Like,
right.
and when I think of, and Kevin Durant, right? He used to be one of my favorite basketball players.
Used
you know,
to.
Yeah, when he went to Brooklyn, I had to debt him. That's it. That was the nail in the coffin. I support him when he went to Golden State, bro. I was on Facebook and Twitter having his back. When he deaded the Knicks and went to Brooklyn, I had to cut ties with him. That killed it for me. But you know, for a while, like, and I think he still does it. I think he was doing it last year. Like, he had burner accounts. So when people like made fun of him on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter, whatever he was on, like he was going back and forth with fans under a fake name. And I'm like, yo, probably like realistically, like Steph Curry's my favorite player ever, right? But Kevin Durant, a healthy Kevin Durant is probably better than a healthy Steph Curry. And you can make a strong argument that he might be better than LeBron. He might be more talented than LeBron. Even if he's not, we're talking about the top, 1, 2, or 3 basketball player in the world.
Mm-hmm.
So he's not even in the end. He's not like right on the bench, bro. He's probably the 3rd best player, in the league. And at his position, he's probably the best in the league.
Right.
And he's still insecure, where he feels the need to make up fake names and argue with fans online. You know what I'm saying? So that level of insecurity, I think, is always going to be there in some form or fashion.
I didn't even. It's funny because I didn't even think about that as insecurity. I just thought it was just like, but it does fall under it. I thought it was just someone who just needed to bash back, which I guess would be.
Well, here's what I'll tell you, DJ. Like, if I came at you right now and said, "Yo, DJ, your freaking hair is green," you look at me like, "Okay, bro. Like, I know my hair's not green. Like, you're not worrying about it."
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But if I came at you and said, "Yo, DJ, you're a terrible insurance agent, or
Yeah.
you're a terrible father," even though I think DJ's a fantastic father and he's a great legacy planner. This is just a hypothetical situation, right?
Appreciate it.
But if I said that to you, you're a terrible father. You might go, okay, whatever. But then there's somewhere in the back of your head that it might cause like, yo, am I bad? Yo, what did I do to make Matt think, I'm a bad father? And then you start questioning yourself because you think there's a possibility it could be true. But if I said you had the green hair, whatever, man, you're tripping right now, right?
All right.
Because there's always going to be that little part of
That was a good explanation. Because now I'm wondering, yo, Matt really meant that.
I don't do that, bro.
Nah,
bro, I'm having trouble I play morning basketball, DJ, and sometimes like I go too far with the trash talking, and it's not even because you know me, so it's not even I'm not even built like that to talk like that. But I might even just say like one thing, bro. There's been times where like 30 minutes after, like I'm home and I'll text me privately, yo, my bad for what I said on the court, man. And then they make fun of me like, yo, Matt's so soft, man.
Yo, he's in his own.
Yeah, he's like, yo, he's the only person I know that apologizes for talking trash. So, I say that to say, like if you tell me you're gonna home and think about that, bro, I'm really gonna feel bad, DJ. I'm gonna text him after the podcast. 30 minutes from now.
I'll get you the dry ass test.
Yeah. Yo, you've gotten much better with the text, by the way.
Because you wrote it.
See?
You know this
breaking rules now, right?
Is that an insecurity?
For you?
It might have been.
It might have been. Like I don't want to be vulnerable to tax on whatever rule you adopted. But I see progress. I see you breaking through it, DJ. I'm proud of you, man.
I think it was just to you, man. Anyways.
Oh, that hurts, bro. I'm the only one who gets the driest comments, huh? So, there's a couple questions that Vishen, recommends asking, and one of them is when you're trying to dissect these rules in your head, is it based on trust in humanity, right? So I think like an example is in one of these European countries, they banned pornography, right? For the whole, and I'm not somebody, I don't watch pornography. I don't go to strip clubs. I'm wholesome. I'm a wholesome young man. So I'm not advocating for pornography, right? But their reasoning is, if pornography is legal, all the men are going to watch it. All the men are going to become hornier, and then it's going to increase like sexual assault, and so they started assuming all these negative things would happen if pornography was legal, right? So that does not show like trust in humanity. That's assuming, humanity's so screwed up, we need this rule to protect everybody else. So if it's kind of like a rule or a BRULE you have, like under the assumption humanity's bad, so I need to operate by this, then it's a BRULE.
I think that one's a BRULE. That one is a big BRULE.
Yeah.
Like Bullsh BRULE.
Absolutely. Question 2.
But then, I think that goes towards like their ego as well, like where they think they could. And I think that's a lot of people complain about now is that certain rules are like like guns and stuff like that, where like why do we need to put this rule in place because of. But we're not going to get into it because that can get into politics. So we'll go to the next one.
You sure?
Yeah.
All right.
Let's go.
I know. I was eager to see where he's going to go. Nah. I thought we might go viral. DJ's going to say something reckless.
Nope.
So number 2, does it violate the golden rule? And the golden rule, you know what it is?
Not at all.
The golden rule is treat others how you want to be treated, right? So if you adopted this rule and you realize like it's kind of causing a gap or it's causing a separation between you and other people or whatever else, then it's not really following that golden rule. And then it's a brule.
If you go against the golden rule, it's a brule.
Yes.
Gotcha. Treat other people. I don't, that just makes. I don't know. That's just to me. That's like common sense. Like if everyone took that into consideration, I think obviously there'd be a lot less BS that goes around all the time. And like, I just don't see no reason why you should treat anyone like an a-hole. Just generally be nice. So we can just go into the next one. That one just like another thing.
But there are people who treat like you're a good-hearted person. That's why it's hard for you to understand that. But
Yeah, like
there are people who are not following the golden rule like ever.
I don't know. It just doesn't make any sense to me.
Number 3, is it something that you truly believe, or is it something you took on for culture?
Right.
And
your Jordans?
Well, the Jordans, maybe. I was gonna refer to back in the day there was a movie with Ashton Kutcher and Bernie Mac called Guess Who? Have you seen Guess Who?
I don't know. Go ahead.
So Sanaa Lathan was Bernie Mac's daughter, and her and Ashton Kutcher lived in New York City, and they were engaged to be married. And then she's gonna bring him home to meet her family for the first time, but she never tells her family he's white.
Yep.
Because she's operating. She knows her family's gonna have a problem with it, but she's trying to be like this. I don't know the right word for it, but it doesn't matter. I'm not telling my father he's white because it doesn't matter to me.
Correct.
So it shouldn't matter to him. So she was trying to, break that rule, even though she knew her father was gonna be pissed, right? So that you get there and the whole kind of like weekend, the funny stuff happens, but really the cause of Bernie Mac not liking Ashton Kutcher was because he's white, and not that he's racist. He works with white people. He has white friends. But it's like we can't have an interracial relationship in my family.
That was like another movie.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure that comes. That's like a common trope in a lot of movies. So that's like a big one. Interracial marriages. Another thing. I had a friend. He was kind of somebody I mentored, but he grew up he was only 4 years younger than me, right? So he started off as like it was like a church program. I was 22 and he was 18 when we met. So over the years we kind of became really good friends. But he had ADHD, right? And his mom wouldn't get him diagnosed. He's like, Mom, I have ADHD. The teacher said, I think he has ADHD. And she said, well, in Puerto Rico, there's no such thing as ADHD, so you can't have it. So that to me is like a cultural, like you're just following what the culture teaches you without really questioning.
And I think that goes with kind of like what's going on now when people say, especially with generational gaps. Like you hear that a lot. It's like, well, when back in my day when I was 18, we already had a house. So how come you guys aren't doing this? And like to me, that's like a cultural or generational thing. So you hear that like you hear about that all the time. But meanwhile, times drastically change because of people in the past.
Yeah.
What happened in the past really justify what's going on in the future. So you can't say, well, this is what this one, and that's how. And I think that's what people get stuck into as well, is that this is what was done. This is what has to be done. This is what was done in the past. This is what you should do now. So this is what it's going to look like. And that's just not how. It's just not how it works.
That's not how.
Life is not a straight. Life is not
100%. And especially when you consider they said life, the way we've lived has changed more in the past 23 since 2000.
Yeah.
It's changed more in the past 23 years than it has in the 6,000 or 2,000 years or whatever, like some extraordinary number in the thousands. It's changed more in the past 20 years than it has in thousands of years in the past, right? So when we operate under these same rules or social conditionings like that, our grandparents and great grandparents, or even like our parents operated by, that's not serving us, right?
Correct. And I think why it has changed so much is because, like, maybe a lot of people read that book, but people went against the rules. And I think that's why you have so much change, where everything, unfortunately, I kind of think is like society became like more of a microwave society. Like even for myself, when the phone doesn't dial out right away, like what the hell's going on?
What's going on?
Yeah, but like but it was only like 3 seconds instead of like 0.5 seconds.
Meanwhile, when we were kids, we used to have that dial up.
Correct. And it's like, so I agree about the last 20 to 25 years that things things lessen a lot more when it comes to rules. I was watching, was getting ready for work, and my mother-in-law had the news on, and they were actually talking about people in the White House wearing more sneakers, suits, and then they're wearing like sneakers. So where they were making a change where they were breaking those rules that when you come in here you have to be a certain way. Now there are certain people up there are still wearing their shoes, but a lot more of the younger generation, or not even with just like people our age, just people a little bit older, that they were adapting to the new society.
Yeah, because what's the point? Like if I come to like, am I gonna be less effective on wearing sneakers?
And that's a rule.
That's a rule.
Because a lot of people do feel like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, if you worked at a gym, you know what I'm saying? If you worked in a, I can't think of a situation where you need shoes. You know what I'm saying? But I can think of a situation where, like, if you're like a basketball coach, you want to be run up and down the court in shoes, right? So you need something that's going to fit that. But I can't see how.
Oh, and like even during basketball games, because of when people are on the sideline and they're injured, they're not wearing the same clothes as they would in the past. Like back in the day, they would wear a full suits. And now they're just like, I think it's a little crazy. I think it's a little excessive. But like you see them wearing like
Miles Turner wearing a dress.
We're not going into it. This wear clothing a little different.
Yeah.
Miles Turner do whatever.
So that's another rule, right? He's a man wearing that. That's breaking.
Oh.
Right. So even so I'm making fun of him. I'm not making fun of him. I just kind of made a joke, at his
that's
expense.
Right.
But I'm thinking like, oh, why is this guy wearing? And because he wants to. Like that's it.
Because society told us that men shouldn't wear it.
That's it. And I don't think I would look good in a dress, so I'm not wearing one. You know what I'm saying? But
we won't know until you brave enough to break the rule.
That's not a rule I want to break. You know what I'm saying? So something I want to make sure we kind of make clear is it's okay to subscribe to some of these rules if
not wearing a dress.
Like not wearing a dress, if it's something you feel, you want to do.
Correct.
It's only when you're doing it without, because this was supposed to happen. And this doesn't mean you have to like uproot and change your entire life. Mm-hmm. Like if you think about it, like, we talked about dial-up internet recently, right?
Right.
But, let's say, well, here's an example. Every year we have to update, or not even every year, like every couple months, you have to update your phone, right? Because it's operating on old systems. Like in 1995, when whatever Windows 95 is, I'm assuming Windows 95 came out in 1995. That's why it's called Windows 95, right? But when it came out, when it came out, like I'm sorry, I'm just laughing because this guy opened the door and he just felt the smoke, marijuana smoke. I got blasted with it. I think I just caught a contact. That's why we're laughing, to put you guys on.
You didn't wait till we get inside.
It's all good, man. I'm not making fun of him. It's just, it is what it is. That's why I just want to make the audience know why we're laughing. So when Windows 95 came out, there was nothing wrong with it. It was sufficient for that time, right? But now we're in 2023.
Right.
If we're still using Windows 95, it's outdated, right? So
it wouldn't even work.
It probably wouldn't even work. So so why are we using other cultural systems that date way back before 1995?
And I think that's why we had so much change in the last 20 to 20 plus years, because of that same thing.
And I think we need to continue upgrading. And so you don't have to change anything, just upgrade it. Oh, this is not serving me anymore, let me upgrade it. And then you can keep everything up, but update, slowly. Find what you're doing just because, question it. And if it's serving you, keep it, go ahead.
Right.
But if it's not, and it's just something you're doing for no reason, then maybe it's time to get rid of it. If it's not serving you, get rid of it.
Yeah.
And,
I agree.
I know DJ can't say this because he's married. I'm a single man. So just, and I love hip hop, right? So, a song that comes to mind is by the Lost Boys. And the song is Me and My Crazy World. Are you familiar with that song, DJ?
I don't know. Go ahead.
So in the song, basically like the whole chorus is like, I'm in the mix, I'm in love with two women. You know what I'm saying?
I'm in love with two chicks.
I'm in love with women. Okay, I think it's 2 women, but either
Oh,
way,
that was a different song. No, you're right. Yeah.
So
it was Lost Boys.
I'm in the mix. I'm in love with 2 women.
Yes,
So the
yes,
whole
yes,
song,
yes.
like one verse about one girl, the other girls, other verse about another girl, and he's talking about how he genuinely like loves both of them and what he appreciates about both of them. And now, society has always taught us, you need to love one woman, you need to be in a monogamous relationship.
Our society.
Our society,
Okay, you said
right?
ours.
Our
No, I'm saying, did you say our? Because other countries don't.
Well, yeah. So here,
Yeah.
I mean, if we're international right now, that's what's up. You know what I'm saying?
We're about to be.
Yeah, not yet,
Putting it out
but we're
there.
going to be. Yeah, so we were kind of taught like, you can't love 2 women at once. So I used to listen to that song, but this guy, I used to love this song because it's a great storytelling. He's Mr. Cheek's a phenomenal storyteller,
Yes.
and I like the beat, and I like, it was just something cool to vibe to. But I used to think he was bugging out, right? But now it's like, I'm not advocating, have mad wives or cheat on anybody, but I'm just saying, like, why is that a rule that we can only love, one woman? If that's for you, that's for you, but it wasn't for Mr. Cheeks. So who am I to judge him?
I don't know if you love 2 women.
Mr. Cheeks did. You know what I'm saying? He made a pretty convincing argument.
I don't know. Like, I guess that's another topic. But I think like love is like, I mean, you love multiple kids, right?
Yeah.
But I don't think I
You love multiple kids.
I just
you
don't. I
love
don't think,
multiple friends.
I don't think I could love more than.
We'll talk about it when the mic's off, DJ. when your wife can't hear this. I'm just kidding, Sarah. But yeah, I'm not at, but that I think that for me, like I used to look at that, this dude's tripping. Now I look at him like, that's where he chooses to live his life. You know what I'm saying? Like that's he freed himself of the social contract.
So you're saying the women, and then they weren't happy about it.
They were not happy.
So they subscribe to the social contract.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then at the end of the music video, he left with a third girl that he met at the club. Right. They both left, and he left with a third girl in the video. But no, I'm not advocating to live life like Mr. Cheeks. I just wanted to. That's just like an example that popped into my head.
One of them girls I was watching this is like, wait, I thought I was the only one. Nope.
Damn.
Matt and Mr. Cheeks.
Me and Mr. Cheeks. Pause. Yeah, guys. So, yeah, that's a wild name when you think about it, bro.
I didn't even think that.
Man, I don't know why he went by Mr. Cheeks, but that's crazy. But he really is. He really is a dope artist. I would check out, if you guys haven't heard it, it's low key. I feel like it's an underrated album. Love, Peace, and Happiness is one of the best albums I've ever heard. So I think we went through a lot of points today. We left you with a lot. The book I read recently that kind of exposed me to this thinking, and it's kind of got me thinking more about it. I recommend it to DJ. DJ is going to read it. So hopefully, in a week or 2, maybe 3, a month possibly.
Next one. I got to finish my book.
Yeah, we could kind of do like a part 2 to this and see, kind of get your input on it and some other stuff you talked about in the book. But again, I highly, highly recommend. I want to make sure it's a long name. I want to make sure I say it right. The Code of the Extraordinary Mind by Vishen Lakhiani. And I'll make sure when I post this that we tag him in it. And it really is a phenomenal book, and I highly, highly recommend it. There are certain things he says that I think are a little bit questionable, but he actually says in the beginning of the book, you might not agree with everything I say, and that makes me happy. It makes me happy that you're not just going to follow everything I say. So right off the bat, like he admits, like this, just to kind of take what hits, take what fits you, and leave everything else. And that reminds me, my good friend Nick from back in the day used to always say, you got to eat the chicken and throw away the bone. You know what I'm saying? I always love that saying. So read this book, eat that chicken, throw away the bone. Pause, heavy pause. And I think that's it, guys. We love you. We appreciate you. As always, like, share, comment. If anything I said, resonated with you or you want to talk about it.
Or didn't resonate with you.
Would
appreciate that too. So your opinions are highly.
Well, I was trying to plug my coaching thing. You know what I'm saying? But if anything did resonate and you want to talk more deeply about it, please hit me up, DM me, message me, email me, thesaltyandlicoach@gmail.com. If you guys have, can you plug your legacy planner real quick, DJ?
I don't remember what it is.
Yeah.
I'll have to work on it later.
All right, guys. Well, you want to? Okay. That's for another time. But we love you guys. We appreciate you. God bless everybody. Peace and blessings. You're not.